We're live. Can't see anyone on yet, but let me have a look, see if I can do the comments. Nope, that's me writing a comment. Bear with me. There we go. I've kind of got it on my tap to invite. Is anyone? Oh, we've got a couple of people watching. That's good. Hello, everyone. I'm trying to get it up on my iPad so I can kind of see. There we go. I can see what's going on as well. So, hello, everyone. My name is Megan. I am a major fan of cake, if you cannot tell by the amount of posts that I've got going on in the Buttercream Bells group. So I am just a hobby baker. I am no way professional, so some of the techniques that I use probably might not be what is supposed to be used, but that's how I make my cakes. I've been caking for around 2 years. It all started when my fiance wanted a chocolate cake and I set myself a challenge of making this massive drip cake. And then from then on I've kind of really enjoyed it, and I've been to a few cake shows, been picking a few tips up. I've met the lovely Bella a couple of times, who she truly inspires me. She is one of my cake idols, so I can't thank her enough for allowing me to show you my little painting today. So I'm going to go through the equipment I use. So this right here is what we want to achieve. That's the ultimate goal at the end of this tutorial, so we can see what happens. So to start off, you're going to need a metal palette. These are really cheap off Amazon. To be honest, most of the items I have bought have come straight from Amazon, especially with Prime. So you get them the next day, which is really good. Next you are going to need is a chrome food warmer. So you place the candle in it, and this keeps your palette nice and warm. I haven't tried the water china plate method yet, only because you have to keep changing the water every 20 minutes to ensure that your cocoa butter is warm enough for you to use, otherwise it becomes just dried and not good to use. So that's the heating technique. We are also going to be using 5-ish colours depending on how the hydrangea turns out. So we have, these are all Sugar Flare, and they are white, ice blue, we have a petal blue, which is my favourite colour, and because hydrangeas aren't one colour, we are going to be using some heather and also some dusky pink. But yes, these are all on Amazon as well. Bear with me, I'm trying to get the comments up. I don't know how. If I swipe, there we go. I can see the comments now. Hello everyone. Perfect. What we also use is some paintbrushes. Now I've got 3. The class I attended, I only needed to use 3 wet ones, and 1 dry one, and I'll explain why you need a dry one later on. But I've got them in numbers 1, 2 and 3. It's personal preference at the end of the day, but I recommend kind of 2 brushes for definite, 3 if you want to push the boat out a little bit. That's it. Oh, of course, cocoa butter drops. This is your main ingredient. You can't use chocolate because it already contains kind of the, you know, like the elements in that you can't use to paint with properly. This was £11 on Amazon, which is really expensive, I think. But you only need like 5 pellets at a time, so you can do a completely like, you can cover a cake probably on a few pellets, which is, it cancels out the cost a little bit. I wouldn't recommend eating these raw. I have tried and it didn't taste very nice. Like, they smell of chocolate, which is really, really good. But yeah, I wouldn't eat it straight out of the packet. So I think that's it. Oh yes, the fondant discs. So this is just coloured fondant or sugar paste. I use the sugar paste from the cake decorating company. I just love the way it works on cakes. I love how you don't get elephant skin, which is like I've really struggled with when I first started doing cakes. So that's a highly recommended brand if you need to use it. And I coloured that with the infamous Dusky Pink again, which I purchased from Bella's website. It's a lovely colour. I was thinking, oh, shall I use Claret? But I thought actually that might be a bit too dark for kind of what we're doing today. So I shall get set up. I'm just going to move you down. So sorry if it judges a little bit. Oh gosh, I'm using a new tripod. What? There we go. So let me know if you can see everything okay. I'm just checking on my iPad to see how it looks and stuff. Perfect, so that should be kind of secure. I think my phone's a bit top heavy. Perfect, so I think that looks okay. Yeah, I'm happy with that. As you can see, I've got my palette here all ready to go. I'm going to light my, sorry, I live in like a really little village, and at the moment it's like Piccadilly Circus out here. There's so many tractors. Oh, hello, is anyone there? Can anyone still hear? Oh, let's have a look. Is anyone? It says broadcast interrupted, but I think I'm still live. Let me know. Let me know. So I'm just going to light this candle. But I think I'm still live. There we go. Am I live? Can anyone hear me? Let me know. So I'm just going to... Perfect. Okie dokie. Right. So sorry about that. It said broadcast interrupted. I was a little bit confused then. So I have lit my food chroma plate. Anything that I use I will link below as well, so you can you can buy it for yourselves. I probably spent around £20 to £30 on this whole kit, and I got about 7 to 8 colours with it, which isn't too bad. So I was I was quite impressed, and like when you see the results of what happens, you'll be it'll be well worth the cost, I think. So to start off with, my plate is on my food warmer. Sorry if it makes a lot of noise, it's just metal on metal on a glass surface, so yeah, it's gonna be a bit chaotic. So whilst the palette is heating up, I'm going to take my cocoa butter and I'm going to put a couple of pellets in opposite ends of the palette. That's probably way too much for the thing we are making today, but I like to have a second bit of cocoa butter just so I can clean my brush in between, you know, colours and stuff. I'm now going to start with my colours. So you can see it's like a powdery mess, as I call it, because I always seem to get it everywhere. So I'm starting with the petal blue, the icy blue. You don't really need much of this, to be honest. I've been painting you know, a couple of times over the past month and I've used hardly any. A little bit of heather. Whoa, that's a lot of heather. And finally, or not finally, we've got some pink. So I've obviously segregated all of my colours in between these two bits of buttercream. Not buttercream, cocoa butter, sorry. And I'm going to keep my white separate because, you know, you want to keep that white. Our bit of work does have white in it, so you do want to keep that. You don't want it to mix in with other colours. I don't know if you can see, but these have started to melt now. And that's what we like to hear, or we like to see. So that's that one. So going back to the brushes, I said that you needed 1, 2 and 3. It's down to kind of like the nibs on the paint brushes. we will be painting mostly with number 3 and then kind of doing detail work with number 1 and 2. And then I did mention that you need a dry brush. This never touches wet cocoa butter. The great thing about it is that flowers, which are amazing to paint, you know, they have tiny little veins on them, and this will create that vein for you, so you don't have to go in with a really fine brush and kind of paint all around it. So never ever let that touch like the palette. Basically, you need to keep that separate, but you'll see why later on. So as I said, this is the ultimate goal. I attended a cocoa butter painting course with Tracy Mann, and I learned how to do cherry blossoms. They're absolutely beautiful. It was a really, really fun course. And then from that, I kind of adapted hydrangeas. Hydrangeas are the most beautiful flower I can think of. They're really in bloom at the moment. I've got 2 pots of Cornish hydrangeas in my garden, and they're also my wedding flower. So yeah, they're just amazing. I really, really like them. And really easy to paint because you'll see why. So we're going to start with our fondant disc. The only prep that you really need to do for this is pre-cut your disc 24 hours before. I've used this. This is by Flow 3D, so they do 3D printing, and it cuts out 9 discs. It's amazing because you just don't have to keep, you know, picking up your cutter and putting it back in. You just get 9 discs, done. You can also use these for ruffles as well, so if you want to yeah, do a ruffle cake, that'd be really good. So I let these dry for 24 hours. I did cheat and put it in the oven for a little bit just to give it a bit more, to make it a bit more hard. And I think they're okay. It is a little bit damp here today, so they have got a little bit of moisture on them, but that's okay. Just for tutorial, it's fine. You can also paint directly straight onto a fondant covered cake. Obviously, you don't need to let that dry out for 24 hours because, you know, you've already got the yumminess inside, so you want to get straight to the cake. Right, so our first step is to mix some colours, so hopefully you can see that. So yeah, you just kind of dip into your cocoa butter and treat it kind of as water. You know, this is when you're painting with watercolours and stuff, you know, you always, yeah, that's kind of what you're using it for. Today we're going to go with a blue hydrangea. They are my favourite. I only found out recently from buying hydrangeas that actually, well, there's no such colour as blue in the florist world. I learned that from my very good friend. And you actually have to feed your hydrangeas to keep them blue, otherwise they will turn like the more natural purpley pink colour. So I kind of need to purchase some of that now. Keep mine nice and blue. So I've mixed some petal blue in with my buttercream. The trick is with this, you don't want it too thick, but you don't want it too runny as well. It's kind of finding that that medium. When I first started the cocoa butter painting, when I did the class, mine was so thin that you could see the colour underneath, but that's fine. I'm just going to wipe my brush off. That's a little bit too dark for me, so I am going to mix in some white. There we go, that looks a bit better. The issue I found with white powder is that it's very lumpy, so you do have to kind of mix it to, yeah, you have to like mush it down a bit to get the kind of colour that you want. So I'm quite happy with that colour. It's turned a more kind of baby blue than a petal blue, but that's, you know, that's my personal preference. So hopefully you can see now. Any questions that you have, because obviously this is my first live and I'm obviously trying to focus on my my painting, but any questions, do leave a comment below and I will try and get back to you after, once this has posted on our lovely wonderful group. Okie dokie. And yeah, obviously, like, I'm probably going to watch this video back later and think, oh gosh, I should have said that, or, you know, oh, why did I say that? But yeah, honestly, just any questions, just ask in the comments. Oh yeah, people are liking the apron. Yes, so the apron is from the Sunday Girl Company. Yet again, I'm addicted to them as well. I've got 5 at the moment. And they're just really nice. You can put a nice dress on and just feel a bit glamorous whilst you're baking. Okay, right. Let's get down to why you are all here. So the wonderful thing about flowers is that nothing is ever symmetrical. If you make a mistake, you can probably cover it up. You know, to us, flowers are beautiful and perfect, but nothing is ever symmetrical. Nothing is ever the same. So that's why I think I've chosen to kind of go down the floral route with the painting, because if you make a mistake, you can cover it up. Not that we make mistakes, because we're all perfect, aren't we? Okay, so hopefully you can see. Lovely. So first off, you need 4 petals. With hydrangeas, there's so many varieties out there. The one I've got in my garden is called Bodensee, and it is a 4 petal hydrangea. So I've just painted kind of an eye/diamond shape, but made sure that these corners are kind of very, you know, sharp. It does give that kind of shape. So you paint, I always like to go opposite. I just think you can see more of the petal shaping that way. And as you can see, I am doing it quite roughly, but it's fine because we are going to cover it up with some more wonderful things. I guess with this painting, it's more kind of like building up layers, and then working from that. Let me know in the comments if you have tried cocoa butter painting before, and we can, you know, talk all about it. So there we go. So there is the basic kind of shape of the hydrangea. As you can see, you know, there's paintbrush marks in there, but to me that's perfect. That's the veins that you're looking for in a flower. It's actually gone a bit warmer. So this morning it was really cold in Cornwall, but now it's gone a bit muggy. So that is going to take a while. Oh, can you see there? That is going to take a while to dry. So in true Blue Peter style, here's one I made earlier. What you can do is put your fondant discs or, you know, cake in the fridge for a brief flash, just to kind of set that cocoa butter. But if you've got a lot of time, you know, just step away from it. Or if you're working on other toppers, so, you know, say you're doing a box of 6 for someone, you know, do all that stage first. And then you can go back to it and it's probably dry. I'll keep you updated and let you know when that dries, but as you can see, it's got a shine on it at the moment, so that's, yeah, that still hasn't set. And if we were to paint over it, it kind of would just ruin the whole thing, and you'll probably see the pink underneath. Okay, sorry if I'm talking fast, I'm a little bit nervous. Right, so yes, here's the one I made earlier. So we've got the shape of the petal now, and now we're going to kind of start adding some detail into the petals. You always start with your lighter colours first, and then work your way to a darker colour. Do you know what? I'm not sure why, but that's what I was told. So we're going to go with it. So I've cleaned off in one of my bits of melted cocoa butter, wiped it on a kitchen towel. I think it's just handy. Even though we are mixing colours, you know, we're going to be doing shades and stuff, I always do like a clean brush. So I'll dip that back in here. And now we're going to dip into this icy blue. This colour is so intense. And it doesn't really mix like the other colours that I've got. It is watery, so you do kind of need a little bit more of it to get a substantial colour. I don't want it that blue, so I will just mix in a little bit of this. A little bit more. Like I said, you know, earlier, it's all about playing around and finding what works best for you. Yeah, okay, I think I'm happy with that. But hopefully you can see now that we've got 2 different shades of blue. So you don't want it, you know, too far away from this blue, but you want it, you know, far away enough. Okay. So I obviously mentioned about the dry brush. This is when the dry brush comes in. And the way I do hydrangeas is I just dab tiny bits of colour around one of the top of the petals. And then you take your dry brush. Remember, this never goes into the wet mixing palette. It literally stays dry the whole time. And you drag your colour down and it creates a little bit of shading. Just like that. So hopefully you can see we've got 2 blues on there at the moment. So I'll carry on with my little dots. Grab my dry brush again and drag it down so very gently. You don't want to, you know, go quite harsh with the paintbrush, as you will take the cocoa butter that you've already painted on away underneath. There we go. Oh, someone's saying hi. Hello, Kiki. That's a nice name. I am looking at your comments, but I'm just trying to concentrate as well. I don't want to mess everything up. So, right. There we go. I don't know if you can see, but we have got kind of some, you know, with the paintbrush strokes, that vein that we're looking for. So that's good. For some reason, I think I'm always really heavy-handed on my first petal, and then I get into the flow of it with the others. That's my excuse anyway. That's my excuse. Right, so I'll wipe off my brush, get my dry brush, and just drag it down. Perfect. So, there we have a yeah, your second colour. So yeah, the lighter colour is kind of like your base, and then you build up with your darker colours. So that is that one. This one that we painted on earlier has just kind of set. I probably would leave it a little bit longer. So back to the one I prepared earlier. So now that we'll get the blue off, we are going to move to this lovely heather. Yeah, like heather colour they've got there. And I'm going to mix it in with the dusky pink as well. I just think it's a little bit too dark for what we want. So let's get mixing. There is, like, you know, a little bit of residue of the blue left on my paintbrush. But, you know, I'm not too worried about that. That's okay. So I want it a little bit darker. Like I said, you know, with hydrangeas, there's so many colours in mine. I mean, mine have got the purple tint to it. I haven't seen any pink yet, but there's some lovely creams, a little bit of green from the new buds. But the blues are definitely coming through. Lovely. So there is our third colour. So now we are going to work from the centre. So using that same technique of dipping and dotting, shall I say. With this, because it's such a small area, I kind of just, you know, yeah, dot around like that, make little dots. And then again, you grab your trusty dry brush. Even though it's got blue on it, it's still fine. That's not an issue. And then you just drag this over the blue. And somehow it's magical and blends in and creates a really good effect. There we go. I find that it's already dried a little bit. This would be the perfect time as well if you do see a little imperfection. Just go back over with your pink. and then drag it out. Yeah. So that is with the pink. I don't know if that is the correct way a hydrangea looks, but to me, I think they look okay. You know, when they're far away on a cake, it looks fine. So that is the pinky purpley colour and the dark blue that we've put on. Next, we are going to focus on this, you know, lovely white colour that we've got on the outside of the petals. That just makes it a bit more 3D. Now, amazingly, I think because we used a little less cocoa butter, this has dried, so I don't have to go on to my one I prepared earlier, but that's fine. We can work on this one. So now we're going to mix some white. This is where you pick up your number 1 or 2 paintbrush. I've gone for the number 1. This is the first one I picked up. There's not that much difference in it. So we'll get mixing our lovely white colour. So as I said earlier, you know, the white, it is, you know, I don't know if you can see, but it's really grainy. So you do have to mush it down a little bit. In my the banging of the palette. I don't know, the chrome food warmer that I bought came with 3 normal legs and 1 shorter than the other, so I think I have to put a bit of tissue underneath it when I'm painting in future. With this white colour, you do want it a little bit thicker than your other colours, just so you can get more of a texture onto your flower as well. You see it's a little bit tricky. Finding that right balance again until you're finally happy. There we go, I think, yeah. I think I'm happy with that. We'll wait and see. So you kind of want to get a nice pointed tip on your paintbrush as well. So just, yeah, roll it around in your colour. And there we go, and obviously pick up some of the product. So, when you look kind of out of, you know, a hydrangea or a flower, you don't kind of always see this, you know, the natural light hitting it the other way. So I think that's what we're trying to do here, is ensure that it does stand out and it doesn't look so flat, especially on a cake. So you can either pick left or right. For some reason, I always go down the right hand side of a petal. And yet again, it's that dabbing motion. And I bring it all the way down the right hand side of the petal, and then just a little bit on the left. I grab my dry brush, and yet again, just pull that down into the other colours. And we have got some lovely limes forming there, so underneath we can see some of the other colours coming through. Okay, and we'll carry on with the rest. So yet again, starting from the middle, bring it all the way down. Doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to brush it off with your dry brush. Let's move that one out. There we go. And you know, you can put as much as of the white on as you want. This leaf I might do just a little bit less. And you can still see the wonderful colours coming through. I think this is the best I've ever mixed the white. It's such vibrant. It's really vibrant this time. Lovely. And the final one. There we go. So that is that one. Bring it over. There we go. So now we've got the highlights on our flower. It makes it look a little bit more 3D. Yeah, well, I think it looks wonderful. Picking myself up there. Perfect. So now we move on to the middle of the flower. I tried doing a cross on them. You know, my very first attempt I wasn't happy with. They looked more like forget-me-nots. So when I went to bed and woke up the next morning and was like, no, come on, look at a hydrangea properly and kind of see how it is. So yes, we're going to do the middle of our flower now. So for this, you need a little bit of heather. You kind of just want to make a dark colour. You could use black, but I think there's some much nicer colours out there that we can use than black. It makes it look a little bit more realistic. And then you can take, you know, a little bit of this blue here and mix in and just create a nice dark colour. But this can be blue, it could be, you know, a dark pink, it could be purple. Just need to create a nice little dark shade. There we go. So I am happy with that one. Oh, there's still 8 of you on, that's good. I haven't bored you to death yet then. So now we paint in the middle. And that is most of your hydrangea done. And we just need to kind of let that dry a little bit. I didn't do one, that was poor planning of me. I should have done one with the centre in it already. So this might have a little time to wait before it dries because we've used quite a lot. But yes, the next step of it would just to be, you know, do your little highlight with the white paint. There you go, it's setting a little bit, you can see, which is good. Might be able to risk it, might not. There you go. We'll give it a go. What have we got to lose, eh? Absolutely nothing. Okay. So here we go, we just create a little C shape, like that. And there we have it, your painted hydrangea petal. So that took me probably around 20 minutes to do one petal. I think if you spend more time in it and you build up kind of repetition for it, you could bash them out really, really quickly. My first ever painting, which was this here with the petals, this one alone took me an hour and a half. And that was following along with Tracy. And then the next day I did it and I bashed all this out within half an hour. So it is, practice does make perfect. Okay, so if I bring you back up, hello. Okie dokie, so that is my cocoa butter painting. Really, really quick. Really, really simple. I hope to do it kind of on a massive cake at some point. But for now, I'm quite enjoying these cupcake toppers. So what you would do with this, you add some buttercream to the top of your cake and then you just pop that on top. Say no more. I did give some to my mum and dad, I believe, and I think they enjoyed them. So even though I said cocoa butter didn't taste nice, in its raw form, it didn't taste nice. Don't eat those pellets. But on this, it's fine because you've got all your other flavours in as well with your cake. And yeah, it's perfectly edible. I don't want to eat them because I think they're so pretty. But yes, so that is it from me today. Like I said, if you want to ask any questions, hopefully I can answer them for you. And just leave a comment below and I'll be around for the next, half an hour or so to speak to you all. So hope you're all staying safe and staying well, and I shall see you again soon.